So, yes, Kyrie demanded a trade, but surprisingly, Brian Windhorst of ESPN reports that the NBA trade deadline is still surrounding the Toronto Raptors. They're the biggest piece in all this puzzle. Before we continue, there's also been a report from Brian Windhorst, Tim Bontemps, and Tim McMahon that the Toronto Raptors are considering trading one of their core players, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent, or Fred VanVleet. The current reporting suggests a trade of Pascal Siakam is extremely unlikely, and to the fact that Brian Windhorst said he would be stunned if Pascal was traded. Same with McMahon and Tim Bontemps. Siakam's name surfaced in trade rumors back in 2021, but he went on to have an All-NBA selection for the second time in his career, and he missed out this year on the All-Star, but he was clearly a snub. Now, this information, for the past few weeks, we know that the Toronto Raptors have widely been considered the team that controls the trade deadline, as we're now 5 days away from the NBA trade deadline. Anything can happen at this point. And with more and more time, it seems, I really think it's Gary Trent. I don't think they trade OG Anunoby unless they're blown away. I just see OG being moved in the offseason if it is. I just think they're going to go for the high draft pick this year, keep the core around them, and then try to reassess, retool in the offseason. And the only person they trade this during the deadline is either Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent. However, I know that Fred VanVleet, they value his leadership. Now, I don't know how much you pay for leadership. And I think you look at this team and I wonder what is the right solution here for the Raptors to figure it out, because we know this is a team that arguably, they're only 4 years removed from winning a title. So with that being said, the Raptors are in a position to trade multiple players, and that could help shift the balance of the powers. A lot of people believe OG Anunoby is like the missing piece for teams like the Pelicans and the Grizzlies, as he could have a Drew Holiday effect on a team trying to become contenders. I just see if they trade Fred VanVleet because he's leaving in free agency, and they're trying to get assets right now. Same thing with Gary Trent. I prioritize youth over age. That's always what I've said, youth over age. So that's just where it becomes definitely a bit weird, because you don't know what the right answer is ever. And OG, I don't think there's a pack, because the big thing this team needs is, if they move on off of anybody, they need a point guard. Okay, the Knicks, they don't have a point guard to offer me, unless you're really thinking Derrick Rose or Miles McBride's going to make a difference. I don't personally think that. You got the Pelicans. They can offer you arguably an interesting package of Devontae Graham, Jackson Hayes, and Najee Marshall, which is good. The Suns, that deal would probably revolve around Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, and that's pretty much, maybe a pick right there. I find it hard to see, because then, the Mavs, I assume if they got into this, it'd be Dorian Finney-Smith, and they try to do Davis Bertans. But again, you need a point guard, a future point guard, like a pure point guard, because some might argue that Fred VanVleet's, a guy like more of a scorer than a creator. Like, he can pass. Like, I'm not taking that away from him, but it's difficult to decide.